This is Chapter 27, Developments in Current Nursing Practice. Nursing is so much more than just providing patient care. There are a variety of different fields you can go into or paths you can take in your nursing care or in your nursing career besides just bedside nursing. In this chapter, we will discuss a variety of nursing roles, such as forensic nursing, nurse entrepreneur, case manager, nurse navigator, nurse coder, client safety officer, and telehealth nursing, just to name a few is what we'll discuss in this chapter. All right, so the first area we'll talk about is forensic nursing. So forensic nursing is a field defined in your book as a field of healthcare that unites nursing, law enforcement, and forensic sciences. And forensic sciences uses scientific means to analyze physical crime evidence. In other words, a forensic nurse is someone who works with crime victims to gather medical evidence and provide expert testimony that can be used in court. So forensic nurses can begin care in the emergency room, or it can begin at the crime scene as well. They can also participate or be a part of a criminal investigation, and they can provide testimony in a court of law. Okay, so when we talk about forensic nursing, there are actually several types of forensic nurses, such as sexual assault nurse examiner, legal nurse consultant, forensic nurse death investigator, forensic psychiatric nurse, or forensic correctional nurse, are some types of forensic nurses. A sexual assault nurse examiner is a registered nurse who completed additional education and training to provide comprehensive health care to survivors of sexual assault. These nurses usually work in the hospital or the emergency department, and they interview victims. They complete a physical exam, they collect specimens, they provide emotional support, and possibly testify in court. A legal nurse consultant evaluates, analyzes, and delivers opinions concerning medical issues and health outcomes in medical or legal cases. This is a registered nurse with at least 5 years experience as a nurse. The individuals may be self-employed or work in a law firm. Duties of the legal nurse consultant: they might draft legal documents under the supervision of an attorney. This is actually in your book on page 702. Draft legal documents under the supervision of an attorney, interview witnesses, educate attorneys, research the nursing literature and standards and guidelines, review, analyze, and summarize medical records, identify and confer with expert witnesses, assess causation and issues of damage, develop a case strategy in collaboration with other members of the legal team, provide support during the legal proceedings, and educating and mentoring other registered nurses in the practice of legal nurse consulting. A forensic death nurse investigator collects evidence from the body, the individual's body, and the surroundings, because they know what evidence may be pertinent as the investigation progresses. This person can use the evidence to accurately determine the cause of death. So they might be called upon if there's a suspicious death, or if a death occurs from natural causes, it just needs to be confirmed. Some other names you might have heard for this nurse might be a forensic nurse investigator, a death investigator, or a deputy coroner. A forensic psychiatric nurse uses their medical training to aid in the rehabilitation of criminal offenders, assess the well being of crime victims, and serve as expert consultants. So they work with the individuals that might have mental health needs and might they're in the legal system. Many times these nurses work in state psychiatric institutions, jails, and prisons. Forensic correctional nurses provide health care for inmates in correctional facilities such as juvenile centers, jails, and prisons. A nurse entrepreneur is a nurse who combines his or her nursing experience and business knowledge to establish a business. Nurse entrepreneurs can start a variety of businesses. For example, nurse entrepreneurs can start temporary staffing agencies, um, as well as home healthcare agencies. Nurse entrepreneurs can be consultants, nurse case managers, nurse death investigators, legal nurse consultants. Um, these are just to name a few, but there's a variety of different businesses a nurse can start. So you would just need to start by assessing your own skills, then finding an area in healthcare where there's a need, borrow the startup money, and begin building your client base. Nurse case managers evaluate and implement healthcare plans for individual patients. They act as advocates for clients and their families. The ultimate goal of a nurse case manager is to help the client obtain quality, cost-effective care while decreasing the duplication and fragmentation of care. So they should be able to help each individual patient um, receive all the care needed to um, pr- promote wellness in that patient, but doing it in a cost-effective manner. Case managers might also be called care coordinators, care managers, transitional care coordinators, transitional care nurse, nurse coordinator, wellness nurse, or client care coordinator. No matter which title you give them, the goal would still be the same. One of the goals of the Affordable Care Act was to reduce the 30-day readmission rate for patients, and the care coordinator position was ideal to help with this, because this person is able to coordinate all the patient's care during and after hospitalization to promote high quality care for each patient. So if a patient, the case manager or care coordinator, whatever you're calling them, is working with these individuals while they are hospitalized, and they can set up, does this patient need home care when they go home? Will they need to continue with physical therapy? Do we need to set them up with some type of physical therapy when they go home? Are they going to need any type of equipment when they go home? What types of things do we need to put in place? They'll look at what types of things do we need to put in place to try to prevent this patient from being readmitted to the hospital within the next 30 days for this same issue. And so that's why you have these case managers in place. Also, case managers can help set up any follow-up appointments. Make sure the patient has follow-up appointments set up. That's a lot of times we find is the cause for readmission. People aren't setting up their follow-up appointments so that they can follow up with their care um, appropriately once they've been discharged as well. So some factors that might indicate the need for a nurse case manager, they're actually in your book. A patient might have a complex treatment plan that requires coordination or the plan might be unclear. They might have an injury or illness that may permanently prevent the client from returning to his or her previous level of health. So then what things do we need to put in place to help them um, reach their optimal level of functioning if it's not the way they were before? Do we need to coordinate some type of assisted living or skilled services after, they've left the facility, left the hospital? Another indicator for case management, a pre-existing medical condition that may complicate or prolong recovery. So like I said, maybe, when they go home, they need some home health care. The nurse can help teach medications, or maybe they're going home with dressing changes. You need a nurse out there to teach dressing change, or actually just do the dressing change. Another indicator might be a need for assistance in accessing healthcare resources. So maybe there's some equipment that person needs in the home, and this case manager can help get that set up. Or need the person, maybe they need Meals on Wheels, and the case manager can help get that set up as well. Another indicator might be environmental stressors that may interfere with the recovery. So what types of, what's the living situation, going home? Can the case manager help with altering some of those situations so that they are not stressing the patient out and potentially putting them at risk for readmission? A nurse navigator helps to decrease patient anxiety, and they assist patients as they travel through the healthcare system. A nurse navigator is similar to a case manager, but they are more focused on one specialty area, such as a cancer patient. For example, you have a patient that needs a colostomy to test for colon cancer, but the insurance company is giving them the runaround, and the patient just simply gives up because they don't want to deal with all the politics and possibly paying out of pocket to have the colonoscopy. Well, the nurse navigator can help the patient and his or her family navigate through the system and the insurance company so the person can have the colonoscopy. The nurse navigator works to eliminate barriers to care for patients. They also serve as advocates for the patient, and they make moving through the healthcare system easier for the patient and their families. Nurse navigators might assist with lack of transportation. Patients having a lack of transportation, they can help with that. They can help with completing insurance forms. If the patient's having some financial issues, they can, help come up with solutions for that. They can also accompany the patient on appointments to help decrease any stress the patient has about the appointments, and help the patient try to understand any treatments, so they can, hear what the doctor's saying, and help that patient understand the treatments, the disease processes, the medications, or things that the patient may not understand. A nurse coder extracts information from various medical reports and assigns specific industry standard codes that correspond to the services a patient receives. These codes will then be the codes will allow a medical biller to process a claim for reimbursement from the insurer. Each client is assigned a code, or maybe even several codes for reimbursement. The International Classification of Diseases, or also called ICD-10, is the most updated. ICD-10 is the most updated system, and it has over 70,000 codes that can be utilized for patients, so that healthcare facilities can receive reimbursement. So this increases the need for certified registered nurse coders and certified registered nurse auditors. It's important to have individuals that are knowledgeable and understand how to code, because mistakes in coding can cost healthcare facilities a lot of money. A client safety officer ensures patients receive quality health care. These nurses attempt to lower risk factors that cause poor or adverse client outcomes, and they do this by creating policies and procedures that healthcare staff are trained to follow. So these policies and procedures are to eliminate healthcare errors such as um, preventing falls or preventing infections or whatnot. The client safety officer or client safety nurse reports and analyzes adverse events. They look at trends and then implement risk reduction activities. So, for example, um, if there's a trend that patients on one unit are having an increased number of falls, then the client safety officer can develop policies and procedures and implement a fall prevention protocol that has to be, enforced. They also develop medication error reduction strategies. They monitor the effectiveness of any protocols that have been put in place. So, they put this, so say for instance, they put the fall prevention protocol in place, then they're going to monitor to see if this protocol is effective. So are the falls decreasing? Are they staying the same, or are they increasing? So do we need to, put something else in place if this is not working? Or did the staff get trained properly? What's the issue, if the falls are continuing? And they maintain systems that increase patient safety as well. Over the past 2 decades, telehealth nursing has expanded. The telehealth registered nurse provides more sophisticated nursing care using various telehealth technologies in a virtual environment. So, telehealth nursing uses the nursing process to provide care for individuals over the phone or some other electronic communication media. Telehealth nursing varies by state, but if you're talking about telehealth nursing at the telehealth at the provider level, then it would need to be an advanced practice registered nurse with at least 5 years of practice experience. The nurse must also have an active license in good standing where he or she lives, and as well as each state he or she practices telehealth nursing. The Enhanced Nurse Licensure Compact allows a nurse to hold a license in one compact state and practice in other compact states. 26 states are a part of the Enhanced Nurse Licensure Compact, and Ohio is not one of these states. Additionally, needing to keep in mind, just because it is telehealth, all telehealth sessions still must remain confidential.